Welcome back to K-Astrology, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kaylin, and on this channel I do monthly horoscope videos for all 12 zodiac signs, along with tarot predictions for your sign. Today I'm going to be doing your January 2021 horoscope, so be sure to watch for your rising, sun and moon sign. I'm going to leave a timestamp in the comment box and the description of the video, so feel free to skip this intro if you just want to head straight to your horoscope. As for the rest of you, January is absolutely hectic. We have squares from Mars, Uranus, Saturn and Jupiter going every which way. This is going to heavily activate two of your houses in particular, and of course it will change for each sign. And we also have Mercury going into retrograde at the end of the month. As per usual with Mercury retrogrades, we always have a 2-week pre-shadow period. So for the first couple of weeks in January, you'll have a bit of a breather, you could say, but this is really the calm before the storm, because come 13th of January, everything is going to go haywire, and there's going to be so much change and such an upswing or uptake in energy. And every sign of course is going to feel it differently, but the ones who will be affected the most will be Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, and Scorpio. Without further ado, let's dive straight in. Hi Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Risings, Happy New Year and welcome to your January 2021 horoscope. The month starts off with Mars entering Taurus in your 4th house, where it will remain for 3 months. Wherever Mars goes, that's where we can expend a lot of energy and effort. So with the 4th house, this is in relation to your living circumstances, your home life in general, and your relationship with your parents. Now on the 8th of January, we will see Mercury enter your 1st house in Aquarius, and there can be a lot of communication going back and forth for you Aquarius, whether that's with friends, at work, in relation to answering calls and emails. And we'll also see Mercury being retrograde in Aquarius at the end of the month, but the pre-shadow period will take effect from about the middle of January. Now on the 9th of January, Venus will enter Capricorn, and this is in your 12th house. With Venus here, we can enjoy 12th house activities such as meditation, sleep, finally getting a good night's sleep, also traveling abroad, and even artistic activities and projects such as photography or anything of a creative nature. Now on the 13th of January, there will be a new moon in Capricorn at 23 degrees, and this will actually be in a close conjunction with Pluto at 24 degrees. And new moons always bring about new beginnings in some capacity, and this one will actually take on a karmic effect due to the influence of Pluto here. So this can play out in a number of different ways. On one level, you may have a newfound interest in spirituality, meditation, and anything to do with, just as I said that, my candle went out. Oh, okay, that's a sign. So on one level, it can be this newfound interest in the occult or tarot, as I mentioned, or you could actually be going to see a tarot reader, an astrologer, someone who works with Reiki or numerology, or even a hypnotherapist. Now you could simply be starting to see a therapist or a psychologist, because the 12th house rules psychology and Pluto as a planet itself represents psychology. And certainly you could be going through a period of deep introspection, and that could even take you as far as doing a past life regression, because the 12th house represents past lives and Pluto represents death and rebirth. And just so you know, in your astrological birth chart, you can actually see a lot of information about your most immediate past life by analyzing the 12th house. Now, with this new moon, you might actually be relocating abroad, as the 12th house is one of the houses which represents living overseas and travel. And on a different level, you could actually be commencing a new artistic project, some kind of creative endeavor, or even a musical composition. And Aquarius, this can actually have a an impact on your career. And the reason for that is that the ruler of your 10th house is Scorpio. Now, your midheaven sign aside, this transit is based on whole sign transits. This horoscope is based on whole sign transits, I should say. And therefore, your 10th house will always be Scorpio. And certainly, if you actually do have a Scorpio midheaven, you can really double down on this. And this can be a step in the right direction towards being in alignment with a career which suits you. And it could be pertaining to the occult, psychology, spa retreats, working in hospitals, prisons, yoga, being an artist, being a musician. All of these are 12th house careers, but we see Pluto here being the ruler of your 10th house and being in connection with this new moon beginning. So on the 13th of January, we will also see Mars in Taurus in your 4th house, being square to Saturn in Aquarius, which is of course in your 1st house. Again, this can play out in a number of different ways. And you know, Aquarius, there's always a positive manifestation and a not so positive manifestation for how things can transpire. So on one level, you might have increased responsibilities, and this is really demanding on you physically in relation to your efforts around the home, your current living situation. You might be moving house, or you might actually be helping your parents to move house. And on a different level, you might feel like you have a lot of responsibilities towards your parents or a grandparent or any kind of elderly figure in your life. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that you have to resent your parents or your grandparents. It can simply be just physically demanding and taxing that you're having to put so much of your time and energy into assisting them in some fashion. Now, on another level, you may have to be involved with the upkeep of a property, okay? So it might be a property that your parents own, or could be something that you own, but in any case, this can be a burden for you because, of course, this will be taking you away from other things that you might prefer to be doing, such as spending time working on your hobbies and passions, or spending time with your partner, or even working on your career. Now, on another level, you might be unhappy with your current living situation, and this could be causing a strain on you at the moment. You could be having arguments with your parents at this time over how to do things around the house, or it could even just be in relation to the direction in life that you're taking, and they're like, no, you have to do it this way. You know, they're just trying to parent you, even if you're an adult. Now, for some of you, it could be as simple as you having to do a lot of manual labor around the house, whether that's for you or your parents. And this can be difficult but gratifying and rewarding work. So this transit doesn't always need to take on negative undertones. I suppose the positive manifestation of this transit is that although you have to put in a lot of time and effort into something, it can give you really rewarding results in the long run. Now, on the 14th of January, we will see Uranus being direct in the sign of Taurus, and this is in your 4th house. A few days later, on the 18th of January, Jupiter in your 1st house in the sign of Aquarius will be squaring Uranus in your 4th house. So this can manifest as you showing unexpected generosity to your parents or vice versa. The important thing to remember with this transit is that Uranus is a planet which represents swift change and sudden upheaval and anything which is unexpected in nature. And Jupiter is a planet which expands everything that it touches. And this can play out as generosity, but this can also play out as overindulgence, because expansion is not always a good thing. Like with everything, you need to have moderation. So on a different level, you can actually suddenly forgive your parents for something that they did to you that you've been holding on to, because Jupiter as a planet is very forgiving and merciful in nature. So this might actually take you by surprise. Perhaps you've had a grudge towards your parents, or even, you know, for how you were raised in your childhood, and now you've just let it go and it's really caught you off guard. On a different level, you might have a sudden interest in learning about your ancestry and your roots and your heritage. And maybe you've never been interested in this before, or you've never even looked into it. And now that you are, you can be quite obsessive with it, because again, Jupiter expands everything that it touches. And if your parents are still alive, perhaps they're like, wow, you know, you didn't care about Auntie Dot before, like where's this interest coming from? And you're like, I don't know, but I need to know more. And on a totally different level, this transit can see you unexpectedly relocating overseas. Or if you have relocated overseas already, you might have either gained or lost a shocking amount of weight. And that's because Uranus in the 4th house represents where you live, and with this hard aspect to Jupiter, right? It's a 90-degree aspect. Jupiter in your 1st house is representing your physical self and your physical body. So this, and Uranus as a planet can have a sudden departure from things, but then, you know, the other side of the coin is Jupiter touching Uranus can blow it out, or it can dramatically decrease things. So again, you might have lost a lot of weight or gained a lot of weight. Now, on the 20th of January, Aquarius season will start. Yay! This means that the sun is transiting your 1st house, and this means you're in the spotlight. You might be getting a lot of attention at this time. You might have a glow about you that you're really enjoying. And you could also be investing time and attention into yourself, okay? Self-care is important. It's not superficial. If you look good, you feel good. And we also have another transit occurring the next day on the 21st, and this will be Mars conjunct Uranus in the sign of Taurus in your 4th house. Now, Uranus is the co-ruler of your sign, Aquarius, alongside Saturn. So here we can see this playing out, of course, in several different ways. Your family home may need to unexpectedly go on the market and be put up for sale, or you could unexpectedly buy a house, or this could even be inheriting a property as well. Now, just a word of caution. This is a very volatile transit, and the reason for that is that Mars rules fire, Uranus rules electricity, and this transit only occurs about once every 2 years. So wherever this transit occurs for you, and you'll want to look at your rising sign or ascendant sign video for this as well. Wherever this transit occurs, this is where we need to exercise caution. So it's in the 4th house. What this means, or at least my interpretation of this, is be really careful with any kind of electrical works in your house, whether that's a property that you own, that you're living in, that you are renting in, or that it's an investment that you have rented out. Just avoid electrical works, even up to a week before or after this transit on the 21st. And also, Uranus being your ruling planet, definitely don't do any electrical works yourself, okay? You might be an electrician, or you might operate heavy machinery, anything that requires an electrical current. Just try not to use it, especially on this date. Even if you can't avoid days before or after, on the 21st of January, no fire play, no electricity. I mean, of course, you can turn the lights on, but you catch my drift. Now, on the 23rd of January, Mars in Taurus in your 4th house will be squaring Jupiter in Aquarius in your 1st house. So again, Jupiter expands whatever it touches, and Mars can represent arguments. Yikes. This can actually be an argument with your parents being completely blown out of proportion, whether that's coming from you or them. I'd be more inclined to say that you might be overreacting in this situation. Of course, it's not going to happen for everyone, but just keep an eye out for this date. Now, this potential argument in question could be in relation to property, whether that's property that you own or that they own, or decisions that you are making regarding property or your living circumstances, or it could even be your worldviews and what you want to do with your life, because Jupiter represents our worldviews, our moral compass, our big dreams and aspirations. And of course, we've just had this great conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius in your first house. So Aquarians all over the world are going to be undergoing an enormous transformation of themselves. And it started last month in December. If you want to check out my December 2020 video for the Aquarius horoscope, I strongly recommend that you do so, because I go into a lot of detail about how this conjunction affected you. But the spillover effects will be seen for, honestly, it's a 20-year cycle, but definitely the next couple of years, okay? Until Saturn leaves Aquarius, which will be in March 2023, the focus is on you and what you want to do with your life. So this particular transit can also see you actually having a lot of energy to work on stuff at home or around the house. And it could even be things that you've neglected for a really long time, like for years, and all of a sudden you have all this energy, because Mars is energy and Jupiter is expanding that, and your energy and effort is being put into the fourth house of home and your living circumstances. Or perhaps you now suddenly have a lot of energy to help your parents with errands and things that they need assistance with. Now, on the 29th of January, there will be a full moon in Leo at 8 degrees, and this will be in your 7th house, which is your descendant house, and it will be opposite Saturn and Jupiter in the 1st house. And it's a close opposition as well. It's 4 degrees for Saturn and 9 degrees for Jupiter. So this can play out in many different ways, and it can really have a double-edged effect, really. Half of you Aquarians might see one manifestation and the other half might experience the other. So you could have the end of a marriage taking place or a relationship, and now you can focus on yourself. The reason for that is that the full moon represents coming full circle, completion, and the ending of a chapter. But on a different level, you and your partner might achieve a common goal together, right? So you might have successfully launched a business together, or started some new venture or project, and now that's finished. Now, this can also play out as the end of a business partnership or relationship, or even the end of a close one-on-one friendship. And again, the opposite interpretation applies. Perhaps you and your business partner achieved a mutual goal that you had. Now, if this is the end of a relationship for some of you, it can still be amicable, and perhaps it was a long time coming. There's nothing sudden about this particular full moon, because we don't have actually, it is squaring Uranus, so it could be unexpected or sudden. But you know, on a more positive level, if you have had any issues with your marriage partner, your life partner, a business partner, or even simply a close one-on-one friend, you might have just put this issue aside and actually fully moved past some kind of argument or disagreement that you've had, and now you're a lot happier. And on a completely different note, responsibilities in your relationship may have lessened. Okay, so perhaps you had to help your partner or your business partner with something, and now, you know, exerting all of that effort into whatever project or thing you were helping them with has either, you know, completely lessened, or it's, you know, totally finished. And now you have more time and energy to focus on yourself. Lastly, guys, we have Mercury going retrograde in Aquarius in your first house on the 31st of January. And this will be a 3-week transit. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the video that the pre-shadow effect takes place from the middle of the month, but I will be going into explicit detail as to how this impacts you personally in my February 2021 horoscope. So Aquarius, that's all I have for you for January 2021. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content from me, please subscribe to K-Astrology. I've actually already posted a tarot predictions for January 2021 video, and that's for all zodiac signs. So if you want to check out your tarot predictions, you can check out the link in the description box below. Enjoy your January, Aquarius, and I will see you guys next month.